it off! Welcome back to my channel. So as you can maybe tell, this video is all about energy saving tricks. This has been a very tough year, obviously, with prices rising and the energy bills getting way out of hand. So I just did a little funny clip to show you what we are faced with just now, because last year we would have easily have put the heating on, but this year it's been kept off as long as possible. So I thought I would share with you some of my tips for saving energy, for getting your bills down. Obviously things are very expensive, not just with energy, the cost of living, food, petrol, diesel, it's all on the increase. So I thought I would share with you some of my favourite tips. This year we have kept our heating off as long as possible. We're now on to the 2nd November and we have literally just started to put our heating on, and it's maybe just for an hour at night. Most of the time I've been walking about with my big coat. Thank God my mum got me this last year because it's been so fine. We've been going to beds with more blankets, cardigans, fleeces, many layers, just sitting with duvet covers just to kind of keep cozy and try and keep the heating off as long as possible. But we had to be realistic and the temperature has totally dropped in the last couple of days, so it was like, right, we need to put the heating on a little bit. But it has been difficult, I have to say, and there's times where we're like, how long are we going to keep this up for? So I said right into November we would do it, and I think that's been pretty good. But obviously we will keep it off as much as possible. So as I say, I thought I'd share some of your tips because realistically we cannot keep our heating off, especially when we've got kids or young babies. It's not realistic. We need to have some sort of heating, but there are ways that we can cut back in other areas, which will obviously make a big difference. So number one is to keep the heating off as much as possible. So we can use a thermostat or just switch it off, and you don't even need to have a timer. Obviously a timer helps, you can get it on when you need it to, but if you just don't know when it's going to get hot, going to get cold, you can just have it switched off all the time and then literally just switch it on when you need just a wee heat top up. At the moment we're trying to keep ours to just like after we come home from work, so we haven't set any timers yet. We are just purely putting it on as and when we need to. So I'm trying to keep it off in the mornings because the mornings are kind of like we're in and out, we're out of the house before we know it, and we're not here during the day, whereas at night it's cold and it's a bit chilly, and I'll just switch the heating on for an hour just to give it a blast, and that heats the house up. I'm very grateful that we are in a newer house, so obviously our house is a bit more insulated, so it does heat up quite quickly and it does retain its heat quite well. So, but obviously not all of us are that lucky. The second tip is to lower your temperature. So maybe not always have it on high up. If you think you can take it down a couple of degrees, maybe add an extra layer just to kind of keep the chill off but not have it absolutely roasting. If you don't need it like roasting hot, there's no need for it, and it's obviously just a big expense. By having it just 1 degree lower, that could save you up to £128 a year. So that is a big saving just by having it that smaller temperature. So definitely worth considering. Third tip is to don't heat empty rooms. So if like during the day we're not really up in our bedrooms, or we don't really need the heating on up in that bedrooms, so on your, some people obviously have radiators or electric room heaters or storage heaters which have a manual setting. You can have them on and off and only switch them on when you're either getting ready to go to your bed or getting ready to go in that room, or they'll obviously come on automatically as and when the heating is on. So that's definitely a big tip. We just need to make sure we have it on when we need it. Again, it's just about using your heating absolutely when you need it and where you need it, not just having it on willy-nilly. Tip number four is to have quick showers. So I know a lot of people might be like in the shower for half an hour, but we don't need to be doing that. We need to be in the shower, do what we need to do and get out. You know, quicker the shower, the less electric we're using or gas we're using to heat up the water. It does make a big difference. Myself, even before this, I always have really quick showers. So if I wash my hair twice a week. So if I'm just in the shower giving myself a quick wash in the morning, I'll literally be 2 minutes. I'm in, quick rinse, quick wash with a shampoo or body wash, rinse myself down and I'm out. There's no hanging about. And also make sure that you don't have on the water until like the very last minute. So don't go in, don't put the shower on and then go away and do other stuff. Leave it till the very last minute and then maybe wait like 30 seconds just till it heats up to the correct temperature. Again, that will obviously save you heating up your water. If I do wash my hair, I'm in maybe 5 minutes. That's about it. I really am like in and out quick showers. So you just want to be in and out doing that. Obviously, we've got kids, we need baths, but we can do showers. Quite often I'll put the kids in for a shower and it's a lot quicker. So it's just like in and out and we're not having to fill up huge bathfuls of water, hot water. And obviously with kids, you want it to be that little bit warmer. So that's definitely a way to cut it down. Even if you just did up like 1 bath a week and then the other nights or the other couple of nights you do a shower, it'll just be a lot quicker and it won't use the water so much. So definitely one way to do it. Tip number 5, use alternative cooking solutions. So using your oven is really quite uses a lot of energy, which costs a lot. Whereas if you use things like a microwave and new cooking tools such as air fryers, they are so much more cost effective. They don't use so much energy. And literally at the moment, I have stopped using our oven unless it's absolutely vital. Like literally switch it off and don't use it at all unless I absolutely need to. I've been literally cooking everything in the air fryer. And I found that even if I think, look, I don't know if I can do that in the air fryer, I have Googled it and someone knows how to cook something that I'm trying to do in the air fryer. We've got a Ninja, I think it's a 9-in-1, a 7-in-1 or a 9-in-1, one of the two, and we have absolutely loved it. I would like to get some more kitchen utensils for it, just so it's easier to cook in there. But it does seem to be obviously the big thing this year, and it does make food a lot better. I would say cooking better in the air fryer than it does in the oven. Things like chips, baked potatoes, pizzas, sausages, burgers, eggs, you name it, you can do it in there. And like if you get one with loads of functions on it, like a slow cooker, that's great. The slow cooker itself, even if you just have a slow cooker on its own, that's also a great tool for it's not so expensive as the oven. So all these sorts of ways of cooking cheaper is definitely worth looking at. I know it might be expensive, but it's a tool that you can use over a long period of time, and it doesn't just have to stop in the winter. Next one is to put your washing machine on at a 30-degree wash. So I know obviously some things might be quite stained and you would need to put them on at a higher degree, but if it's just like a normal standard wash, there's nothing too dirty, it just needs a quick wash, get it down at 30, it will make a big difference to your energy bills. So yeah, I've started doing that. I've been learning some tips from doing this video, so that's one thing I've started doing, is to put my washing on at 30. Next one is to switch off all your appliances, sockets, and that can save you up to £65 a year. I told Craig that this is what we were going to do, and he was like, well, it's okay, it's just a flick of a switch. And although it does seem like a bit of an inconvenience, it literally is. If we're going to put something on, like use the kettle, use the toaster, the oven, or anything, the TV, you've been trying to switch the TV on, off, it's just a flick of a switch. It takes 2 seconds. So everything is switched off all the time, and it does save pennies, and it will all add up. So definitely worth doing. And it will save you about £65 a year. The next tip is to add some insulation to your house. So there are various ways that you can do this. Obviously you can do it yourself if you're up to speed with that. You can look at things like loft insulation, underfloor insulation, internal wall insulation. All these areas will make a big difference to your house and how warm it stays. So it is really worth doing, and it will obviously help your energy bills. Now obviously getting insulation can be very expensive, but there are various routes that you can take. There is the actual eco scheme. So the eco scheme changed recently, and they're looking at the whole house approach. So it could be, they're looking at things like renewables and all your fabric measures, such as your internal wall, loft and underfloor. And from that, if you are on benefits, or there is local council schemes that are just coming back into play after being off for a while, just very slowly. So if you're on, there's specific benefits, even child benefit, although there is like there's like obviously specifics that you need to get that. You can potentially get free insulation upgrades, heating upgrades, or even a cheaper one. You might need to contribute. So it is definitely worth looking into. Like a lot of people might not know, but if you look at your EPC, which is your Energy Performance Certificate, and I'll put one up here so you can see what it looks like. So you can get one online, whether you're in England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and you can have a look, and usually that will tell you what you need. You might know yourself, so it is definitely worth looking into to see what you can upgrade. So if you can't go down the eco funding route, you can look at, there's various other routes. So up in Scotland, we've got the Home Energy Scotland, and they will provide 0% interest-free loans to upgrade any insulation through a local installer. So it's worth speaking to them. So at the bottom of your EPC, you'll get the number for Home Energy Scotland, or you can just Google it. And they go over your EPC and what you can actually do to your house to make the improvements. So that's definitely one way. In England, there is the boiler scheme. So I'm not just 100% in England, but there is definitely schemes. Again, you want to look at your EPC, I think, and it gives you some information on that. But there is let me just get this. The boiler upgrade scheme, so worth looking at that to see what you can, because obviously if your boiler's quite old as well, it's not going to run as efficiently, and your energy is going to use more energy, so you want to upgrade it. So there are various routes to go and upgrade your energy, but I will say if you are upgrading any sort of insulation, you want to make sure that your ventilation is good. Things like trickle vents in your windows, like our house is really well insulated, so our trickle vents are open all the time, so it saves damp and condensation. You want to make sure you've got the doors, the bottom of the doors are cut enough to let air flow through it. You also want to look at mechanical ventilation in your wet rooms. So obviously if there's steam from the heat of the showers or taps, it will all, you can switch on the extractor fan and it'll get rid of it all. So it's definitely worth looking into if you are upgrading your insulation, because it obviously does make a difference. Next up is to switch off all your lights. So I don't know about you, but I have 2 kids and they have lights on everywhere. So I'm literally behind them switching off lights here, there and everywhere, because again, that does make a difference. It could save you £14 a year by switching off all your lights when you leave a room. Obviously not quite so easy with kids, but just try and be mindful that, and maybe teach them if they're a little bit older and they can do that, to switch off all the lights and make sure they save energy and obviously save money. The next one is to get a smart meter, and that will be able to tell you your energy usage, and you can look and see at ways to cut down on your energy bills from that. I don't have one in this house. We moved last year and we haven't got one yet. I'm just waiting to get one, but we had one in our old house and that was really good. It showed us every time we were using it, like if we put the kettle on, you could see it just going up. So it definitely makes you more aware of what you are using, and I can imagine having a smart meter at this time would really make you aware. So if you can get one through your energy company, definitely put in for one. You might have to wait a while, but definitely worth getting it, or if you can buy one, go for that. Next tip is to replace your bulbs with LED bulbs. Quite a lot of us maybe have the old style bulbs. They cost a lot more. You want to get the LED ones and they use 90% less energy, so less money used on them. So definitely worth replacing all your bulbs with the LED ones. You should be able to get these in most hardware stores, local ones or your big ones like B&Q. The next one is to block any unwanted gaps. So quite often in some houses you might get a leaky house where there's draught coming through, whether it's windows, doors, and if you look at draft proofing, it's not an expensive thing to do, and that can save you up to £45 a year. Another thing is if you have a chimney that you don't use, it's worth getting that blocked up, because that can save you £65 a year as well. So there's lots and lots of ways to save energy from draft proofing. Next tip is to dry your clothes outside or on a clothes horse. Obviously if you do that, you want to keep your house well ventilated to save damp or condensation. So open windows, doors, etc., which probably is not the best because you're because obviously it takes in the heat, but it is definitely one way to cut down. So again, you might want to make sure your trickle vents are open. That would be the big thing. Tumble dryer is a very expensive way to use your energy supply with your electric, so it's definitely one way to cut down. So obviously in the winter it's not the best to dry clothes outside, but if you can do it, it's definitely worth it. Next tip is to only use your dishwasher and washing machine with full loads, because there's no point doing like 2 half loads when you can do one, and obviously that'll save energy. So fill them as much as you can. Obviously don't overfill them, especially a washing machine, because you can break it, but just try and keep it as full as you can. Rather than doing 2 or 3, can you do 2 or even just 1? So it's definitely worth looking at. Same with the dishwasher, make sure that you fully load that so all the dishes are getting cleaned rather than doing 2 or 3 half loads. And from that you get £34 a year saving, so again, every little helps. Next tip is to only boil what you need. I'm going to read this off because I can't remember what it's called, it's quite some fancy word. So only boil as much water in the kettle as you need, and fit a tap aerator, A-E-R-A-T-O-R. I'd never heard of this. As I say, I was looking at tips. So a tap aerator is designed to reduce the required flow of water from your taps, which will in turn reduce your water usage. And from that you can save £43 a year. So definitely worth considering. Obviously it reduces the flow of the water, which in turn you don't need as much energy usage. Next tip is to clean your tumble dryer and your fridge filters. So from doing that, if you clean out your fridge's coils, it runs 25% more efficiently, which means uses less energy because it doesn't need to work so hard. So it's definitely worth just giving them a little clean, and if there's a tumble dryer, just rinse out the filter and just keep it clean and keep it working as efficiently as it can, which means it'll use less energy. Last tip is if you have a water tank, you want to insulate it. You get jackets or you get foam padding for it, which can save you up to 70% a year, because obviously it retains the heat a bit more. So that is definitely something to consider, and I don't think jackets or the foam is too expensive. So if you do have that, definitely consider insulating it. And that is all my tips for energy savings for 2022. If you have any more that I've missed out, please pop it in the bar below in the comments section, because other people can give us their tips and pass them on to other people. So that would be great. I hope you've liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And if you are new, please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you the next time. Bye bye.